NTT83, Non-Tactical Tailor 83 on Instagram if you want to check that out. I'm coming to you with the illustrious ATI Galeo. So a little bit of backstory and history on this before we dive into how it has functioned and how this ran so far. These are sourced from Israeli parts kits and then manufactured with a US-made receiver and US-made barrel. The barrels come from Icon Weapons, which is one of the top players, highly quality manufacturers for Galil barrels. It's not chrome lined, which I'm going to get into some, I won't necessarily call them issues, but some things you can do to improve functionality if you purchase one. The receivers are US made, and the rest of bolt carrier, trigger pack, or your fire control group, pistol grip, safety selector, everything else is surplus. So firearm was made clear before the video started. So a little bit of history about my relationship with the Galeo. I wanted a Galil, so early 2020, right before COVID hit in the pandemic, went to a local gun store and there was one hanging on the wall. Automatically did some checking, some reviews, and seemed to be the only complaint that was very common was they would not run off surplus magazines. So in the box when you purchase one of these, they come wrapped in just like your typical brown wrapping paper, but they have a tag that goes through the QC process and actually has a date code on it of when the firearm was manufactured and when it was sent out the door. So my original one was made in late 2019, and it had a gray, like a gray parkerized finish, which was very smooth. It wasn't bad, and it did run off surplus magazines. But initially, these were sent out with a disclaimer that for 100% functionality and 922R compliance, you must run the the provided TAPCO magazines, which are fine. I don't have any problem with the TAPCO Galil magazines. They just don't give you that aesthetic, that look when you're popping in and out of a magazine or you're at the range. So, moving forward, I ended up selling my original one and kind of regretted it because I had no functional issues out of it. I wasn't having any excessive wear. I wasn't having any feeding issues with both steel cased and brass rounds. The surplus magazines that I had were functioning, and so I was pretty happy with it. But then there was all this talk about trunnions cracking, receivers, blah blah blah, and all this shit. And I bought into the hype, and ended up selling it to a buddy. So anyway, regretted it moving forward to late 2021. Contacted Jamie Ramos at ATI and just asked him what were the current manufacturing processes. Were the barrels sourced? Were the kits sourced? What have been some improvements that you've made since the first teething processes and issues? And the information I got back from him is the barrels are made by Icon Weapons, which is a top-of-the-line barrel for Galil. The receiver is made from 4150 CDCA. And the rest of the rifle is surplus, sourced from Israel. And so, got pretty excited, decided that, compared to the James River Arms, Gallant, and Icon Weapons was a little backlogged, I really wanted to try another Galeo. So, get this thing in the mail a few weeks ago. I'm up to a round count around 780, 790, close to the 800 round mark. I've used a combination of the TAPCO magazine that was provided with the rifle as well as 5 additional surplus magazines. Now, initial impressions of the rifle have been great. Zeroing out of the box, it was dead on. I want to go ahead and also specify I have no relationship with ATI. I'm not a plug for them. I'm not getting anything out of this. So moving forward, the only issue I was having was it did not like steel cased ammo. Brown Bear 223 would function fine, but the steel cased tool ammo, about every third round would get stuck in the chamber and would have to use a cleaning rod, knock it out. But running off of like IMI steel core, Winchester, any type of brass ammo, I was getting 100% functionality. So reached out to Austin over at Galil Hub, which is one of, like, in my opinion, one of the primary authorities on Galils, and asked him what the deal was. Anything I could do to improve reliability, because I want a firearm I can take out and run on whatever ammo's in, like, you know, the junk drawer, basically. And he recommended that I purchase this gizmo right here, which is a flexible hone, 800 8-inch long. Basically, these go ahead and polish your chamber to get off the parkerization, the phosphate finish, to where you won't have the issues with the steel casings. So what you get is this carbide 8-inch brush. You lock that up in qualified gunsmith, by the way, so I don't get any shit. What you do is just chuck this in a drill and you slightly polish the inside of the chamber until you get some shine, get away from that phosphate or parkerized looking finish. So, moving on. Get this one in the mail. You know, I've told you about the round count. I go ahead and I polish the chamber, take it out to the range with an extra power M carbo spring because Wolf is backlogged. I still have my order in with Wolf because I trust their products. And anyway, after running the brush, honing the chamber, going ahead and polishing it, I'm now running steel case, brown bear, basically anything that you could throw in this rifle is now running. 150 yards, shooting clays off a hill, very simply. Groupings are amazing. One of the issues I had with the reason I wanted to buy one of these, there's nothing on the market right now since early 2021, late 2020, about how they're holding up. What type of wear are we seeing inside the receivers? What type of wear patterns are on the bolt lugs, the trunnions. So that was one of my primary functions of wanting to get this rifle. Last video I did was on the SAR 109T because there's not a lot of information out there on those either. That thing is still running. The sewing machine, fucking cliche, but it's still running amazingly. So, moving back onto this, I've had no issues. It did come in slightly overgassed, so again, reaching out to Austin. What he recommended was the Wolf Extra Power Spring, which again was out of stock. So I did purchase. That was intentional, by the way. So I did purchase the Wolf Extra Power Spring, which were back ordered, so I got the M carbo in here. And that helped a lot with the the overgassing issue, because you don't want too much wear and tear, like beating the shit out of the internals. But I went ahead and purchased the K&S piston. Very easy to install on this rifle. Turns out I'm not extremely overgassed. You do still have a hole at the end of this, and it does help. Anyway, it functions. But I don't have to have it clicked open to 10 or anything. You don't have to have this bitch all the way closed for the rifle to continue to cycle. Now, felt recoil and the clunkiness that I was feeling with it being overgassed and having gases pretty much pour back in my face is gone. So between this and the extra power recoil spring, I'm not having any issues anymore. Now, should you have to buy a rifle and have to do work to it? Probably not. Most of us do want to buy a rifle and do some customization. I could have got away with running the original piston and just the extra power spring. I decided if I was going to own one of these, that do some testing on it, that I wanted to make it as reliable as possible. Internal wear, I'm going to try to get in there as best as I can. We're going to have to go with a different angle, but there's no extreme break-in or wearing process. On a right rail, as I'm going to get into, there's a little bit of polishing, but the rest of the lugs going up to close to an 800 round count, and the wear on the bolt carrier assembly, bolt carrier group, before someone rips my ass for that, it's fine. I mean, I'm not seeing any excessive wear. So I did I have been consulting because I am not an expert on Galils, even though I love the AK platform. I'm not an expert on the 5.56 models. So I have been consulting with Austin at Galil Hub again. I don't want to praise this cat too much and let him get a big head, but he has been providing me with advice and kind of being a guru for me, my Yoda, on the Galil platform. Mileage may vary, but I would not hesitate with the price point of these to pick one up and go out to the range and just have fun. The only thing that I would do, like out of the box, and these are assembled by hand. These are $35. Buy it on Amazon. Go ahead and polish the chamber to make sure you're not going to have any steel issues. Don't overdo it. Take it to a gunsmith if you need to. Purchase one of these and polish the chamber up. Make sure that you're going to run any type of brass, steel case, whatever ammo you want. Now, disclaimer. You do have to remove, to get the proper angle to hone the chamber, you do have to remove the rear stock. It's very simple. If you have a punch set, you punch the rear pin out right here and you remove the stock, which in my opinion you kind of need to do anyway because the stocks on these get a little wobbly. The original Israelis used a form of an epoxy or a glue, if you look on the forums, to make sure that these were going to be snug. I did the same thing after when I was reassembling the rifle. I went ahead and got a 2-based epoxy, went ahead and put a little bit on the inside. There's a round, I'm just going to call it a nub, put some epoxy on that, stuck it back together, let it set for the 24-hour period, and took all the play out of the stock. Yesterday I ran about 110, 3 magazines, 120 rounds, and we ran fine. The stock didn't loosen back up, the epoxy held. K&S piston was my only frustration because I was expecting this thing to be way, way overgassed, and I had to close the bitch all the way up. So once I realized that I was an idiot and had it opened way too far, it turns out reading the instructions is helpful. Once I realized that, I went back to enjoying shooting this. Now, is this going to replace your AR? No. My name's Non-Tactical Taylor. I'm not out doing tac rolls. I'm not fucking building recce builds. I'm not trekking through the forest. I'm not like some type of survivalist. What I am is a firearm enthusiast. I enjoy history and I enjoy the shooting sport. Hanging out with buddies, the camaraderie, meeting people in the community, and being able to share knowledge information. So that's where I am with it. But if you wanted to use this as a primary self-defense weapon, I don't see an issue with it. There are other guns on the market that probably are going to be better. There always are. Anything on the market, there's always going to be one-uppers, or there's going to be people that are snobs that it doesn't say IMI on it, doesn't say Icon weapons, blah blah blah. You're going to get haters on anything that you purchase. What matters is that you enjoy what you purchase. It's your money. Your money. Purchase what you like, run it, shoot it. Most manufacturers have a pretty damn good warranty anymore. So, concluding the video and the short review I've done on this so far, and I tried to get some range footage yesterday of me shooting it, but it was pouring rain. Nothing was working the way it should. My GoPro, for some reason, would not connect to my iPad or to my phone to be able to show like a first-person point of view shooting. The rain was blowing in like left and right fucking sheets. It was like soaking the front of the iPad. Luckily I have it in a case, so there was no damage. Every firearm that I had out there yesterday was completely drenched, so there was a lot of oiling and cleaning when I got back to the house. The targets that I were using stayed into the mud, and after about 4 shots of 7.62 or 223, even 45 ACP, the firmware was so wet, the targets are falling down, which was causing, it was making the, I don't care if I look like a bad shooter, I'm fallible. Fallible? I am not perfect, I guess is what I'm saying. It's going to come to a shock to a lot of you guys. So I don't care if I look like shit on camera shooting, but I want what I'm out there shooting to be represented properly. And when your targets are leaning and leaning and leaning, you know, you can drop down to an angle, but I don't have 20/20 vision here. I wasn't using a spotting scope to be able to see exactly what the angle was to be able to matrix those shots. So I didn't get any film yet of this thing functioning on camera. I have a couple of shots on Instagram that my buddy Garrett Lucas took that is showing the functionality and makes me look much cooler than I am in real life. So I'm going to put a link in the bio for those if you want to check them out. Non-Tactical Taylor, 83 on Instagram again. I'm also going to throw a link in there for guns.com and ATI. I'm not a plug for them, I don't get anything from them, but if you want like a seamless online gun purchase, guns.com even tracks down the FFL for you and will send the guns directly to your door. That has nothing to do with this rifle. It's just if you want one, they're actually cheaper than buying them from ATI. But the reason I'm putting ATI's link in there is Jamie Ramos over there is a super cool cat. He's willing to answer every question that you have regarding the build, the process, what manufacturer. Hey man, I want this dated manufacturer to make sure I'm getting the most recent build. Because there were a lot of changes to the manufacturing process and to the receivers going into late 2021, and now we're moving into 2022. I'm sure they're going to continue to improve. So he'll answer every question. Like one of my first questions, just emailing this cat, he doesn't know me from shit. It's like, hey man, this is what I'm looking at doing. What do you think? And he's like, dude, have you thought about just getting one of our 13-inch barreled receivers and doing your own build and then showing the process to the people? I was like, man, yes. Dude, that would be so cool. I didn't, because I no longer have access to a press and everything to manufacture it right, and I wanted to represent their product or the rifle to the people for what it actually is, and not something I may have screwed up like with a misalignment or something of that nature. So I did end up choosing to go with the whole rifle. But with him throwing ideas back and forth and telling me about the manufacturing process. Now he's going to give me some more information on what have been the differences in the build process and what type of the manufacturing process, and what were the what changes they made to the receiver to allow both surplus and the provided TAPCO magazines to work, as well as the heat treating, hardening process of the receiver. So I'll get that information out to you guys as soon as I get it from him. But with the holidays and everything, he and I have both been swamped, so I haven't been able to follow up with him. So that's probably my fault. Any questions you guys have, put them in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer them. Hopefully, weather permitting and my technology permitting, I will be able to get some footage of this thing functioning on camera. The stocks do fold a little bit tight, but you have your stocky stock folded here, and then you can do the cool automatic flip out, which is tactical as shit. You're basically an operator if you can do that. The last thing I wanted to mention on this is compared to my 2019 build, the finish on this thing is so much better. So my first one, like I mentioned earlier, had this deep parkerization, like this deep gray finish. This is much more of almost a bluing. You can see that I'm fingerprinting it. Dark, deep parkerization doesn't print like this with the oils on your hands. So this has much more of an original, in my opinion, an original IMI type bluing finish. And he's going to get back to me. ATI's going to get back to me about like what the process was with caught on cord with the finishing process on these, because it is better. It is a lot better than my original one. And the original one wasn't bad. It was very smooth. It was gray. I'll throw again on my Instagram there are pictures of my original one, and you can see the difference between the dark gray park, similar to what like a Rock Island 1911 has, versus the phosphate style. I don't even know if this is phosphate. It is parkerized, I'd say, but it is a much darker, deeper, almost bluing. And the rifle just looks better. Back there on the wall is a legal SBR before anyone gives me shit. It is a POF 5. Michiko has a great video on those, and we'll give you some more information on that unless you guys want to hear more about that rifle, and I will do a video on that one. I have a pretty wide collection, so if there's anything, I like the oddballs, if there's anything out there you want to see, Sterling, Uzi, the MP5s, a lot of old cold carry handle guns, SMGs, the SAR 109T is still something I want to do some follow-ups on. I've got a lot of questions about the functionality and the price points, accessorizing it, and that's been awesome in the comment section, so thank you for everyone that has checked out that videos. I'm still new to getting these things to upload and editing, so this is just going to be one take. Outside of that, thank you for watching. I'll throw some links in the bio if you're interested in getting one. Again, not talking shit about ATI, but on guns.com you can buy one brand new for about $300, $400 less than you can purchase from ATI. Now, saying that, when I talked to Jamie about matching prices on that, the manufacturer will match any price that's out online. So if you want to buy one directly from the factory and ask Jamie or one of their cats at customer service, okay, I want a 2021 production, I want the latest one coming off the line, but will you match the price of like guns.com? They will. So that is pretty cool for a manufacturer to do. So, I don't know, check it out. Stay tuned for future videos of this thing functioning, shooting. So far I've tested about 150 yards and been able to get, well, just shooting clays, but that's good enough for me because it's more like a combat rifle. It's not like a PRS, but still. No, let me know what you want in the comment sections, and thank you for watching.